Okay, what is today? I just want to paint and talk because I don't talk a lot in my life. I try to stay quiet as often as possible because the words I have to say aren't that valuable. I really don't believe. A lot of what people have to offer is trash, is actually garbage, and we shouldn't say it. We shouldn't waste our words on topics, on thoughts that don't deserve the time. But yeah, why am I so upset today? Obviously, I've been struggling, and what do I mean by struggling? I mean struggling with other people and how they perceive the world versus how I perceive the world, because that's it's a hard thing to really grasp, to really put your mind around that. I have to accept certain worldviews even if they cause damage to people and their lives unintentionally. And I'm speaking specifically to a group of people called the Christian Nationalists, which I believe is a cult, is a cult of people that are being taken advantage of and have been taken advantage of in the past. When I was growing up, I was told not to believe in the math that was getting taught at the time, which was Common Core in American schools, mostly Common Core math, and a lot of Common Core was funded by Bill Gates. Bill Gates is not a fan in the Christian nationalist sphere. Bill Gates is hated by them. My parents hated Bill Gates to the point, and his agenda to the point where when I was going through school, during integral years, I was told Common Core math was terrible. Well, it was the only math I had. It was the only math I had. So you took that away from me. You took away the opportunity for me to have really taken math seriously in my life, because you told me I shouldn't. You told me I shouldn't, which is frustrating. Sorry for getting so loud. I obviously have a lot of anger around some of these topics. So yeah, during integral years, third, fourth, fifth, because this happened during Obama's second presidency in 2012. I was in third grade. By the way, I wasn't allowed to watch his commemoration speech. I was pulled out of his commemoration speech because my parents didn't want me to see that president talk. So I wasn't allowed. I was the one third grader in Mrs. Elise's class that had to sit outside in the hallway while President Obama gave a 40-minute commemoration speech. How do you think that made me feel about politics at the time? Did you want to influence me that heavily? Because I was only in third grade. I was only like eight years old. I don't even know. 9 years old. So I'm speaking freely today because I was at a family event. And it crushed me, crushed my soul. I felt that I was getting bullied, and I didn't feel that way. I was getting bullied unintentionally by people who subscribe to beliefs like Christian nationalism, and because of that, they don't believe in things as easily. Like mental health disorders. They don't believe in things even like autism. My parents were skeptical of autism. I remember being young and my family members being skeptical of autism. What? Okay, why do you think that I am struggling so much, have struggled so much in my life? Well, I discovered that through working and through going through a major autistic burnout in my life, after working for forcing myself to function in society for a few years, I experienced extreme burnout. What I think it is, and I'm not diagnosed. I've talked to a therapist 3 times. I'm not diagnosed. This is coming from my own observations on me. I have experienced what it is like to be forced to be somebody all of the time. I used to mask all of the time. I would hide my real behavior. I would tell myself to act in a certain way, and unfortunately, I was telling myself to act like the ideal that was in my life, which that idyllic person was Trump, the head of the Christian Nationalist cult. So I was acting like a super conservative, but that wasn't me. That was a mask. I was masking, and I was doing it to protect myself because I actually didn't understand what was going on. My brain didn't have the proper structure to understand the world around it. I was given the structure of Christian nationalist thinking. I was given that structure to move through reality, and it didn't work. So I fell apart after holding this for so many years. And after falling apart, after experiencing an extreme depression, I realized I have to do something else. I have to start acting like me. Otherwise, I'm going to be acting like how other people want me to act or how I think I should act for the rest of my life. And I can't do that. I know that the social sphere around me wants me to adhere to strict binaries, but I can't. My brain isn't wired that way. And I finally figured out something that works for me: painting, sewing, creating, but it's not enough. And that's the struggle, because I happen to be born in a place that says that if I'm not making money doing the thing that I am doing, then it's not enough. I just don't think that's real. You're saying to me there's a trillionaire out there right now. There is one guy with $1 trillion, and you're telling me that working jobs is still a effective way at distributing wealth? It's not. It's not an effective way of distributing wealth. It is a terrible way of distributing wealth. It doesn't work, obviously. All of us are broke. All of us down here. All of us have nothing. We don't have the wealth. There's one man, not one man, but I mean kind of right now. And who am I saying? Elon Musk, the first trillionaire. It's insane. There's one guy that has $1 trillion. Do you know how long it would take you to count 1 trillion? Do you know how long it would take you to count to 1 million? It takes you 12 days. It would take you 12 days to count to 1 million if you just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How long to count to 1 billion? It would take you 32 years. How long to count to 1 trillion? It would take you 31,688 years. It would take you 31,688 years just to count the amount of money that one man in our world has. One man in our country has. And you're telling me that I'm supposed to believe in the distribution method of wealth that we've had in this country for the last 150 years, the last 100 years? It's not working. It's not working. So I can't mask and do that anymore. I can't do that. I have to paint and I have to sew. And I don't even know if this is sorry for the abrupt stop. Sometimes my brain goes blank, and that's not a bad thing. I have a lot of people in my life that think if your memory isn't 100%, if your memory isn't so good that you can't remember every little detail in your life, then you're not good enough. And that's not true. Any of you out there that have memories that aren't as solid, or you see through the trap of memory, which is a trap. I mean, the memory trap, it tells us that we know what happened a second ago. We know. We don't know. We don't know what happened a second ago. We don't know what happened a moment ago. It is a million moments away. And our memory is so unreliable that we shouldn't trust it. And our ego tells us we want to trust it, but we shouldn't. That's scattered. And yeah, a lot of energy is coming out right now. A lot of energy. I have felt alone my whole life, and it's because I have always tried to connect with people in a way. I have been trying to connect. I have asked the questions. I have moved through my life in a way that is mostly full of curiosity. And I look around and I only see people who are holding on tightly to the beliefs that they know. I look around and I only see people who are being the people that they think they have to be because of the institutions and the families and the Christian nationalist cults and the things that they were pushed through. That's not reality. Reality is we get to choose what we want to be in every single moment. And if we're not choosing it, then somebody else is. And guess what? If somebody else is, maybe your father is, maybe your dead racist father is, maybe your mother is, maybe your brother is who is abusive, maybe your sister is who's manipulative, maybe these people in your life are choosing it for you. And that's not okay, because we need to change the world. And how are we going to do it? With ourselves, looking at ourselves first. We have to look here. We have to look here. And if we're not looking here, then I'm looking somewhere else. And it's so interesting because I got to this place just barely where I'm realizing that I was looking somewhere else at the beginning of this painting session. I was looking at my family for their Christian nationalist ideals and for the beliefs that they hold dear to their hearts. I should have been looking at me. Why was I so triggered? Why was I so put off by the comments that were made to me? Well, one of the comments was about food. Oh, I'm sorry, Peyton, but you really need to get yourself together, is what somebody said to me while patting me off on the back and saying, yeah, you got this, buddy. Very demeaning to me. I got very triggered because my whole life I've struggled with textures and eating food that everybody else eats. Primarily, I've had to eat macaroni and cheese. I've had to eat ramen, not because I want to. I've had to eat candy, not because I want to, but because that's the only thing I can get myself to eat. So, I'm working on that, but it's slow. And when you have aversions to texture, it's a lot. It's a lot, It's so much. I don't want that, but I remember eating peaches. I couldn't eat fruit. I couldn't eat vegetables. I couldn't eat anything for a long time. And I'm working on that. But this comment really threw me off because I'm like, why do you get to tell me that I'm not enough yet? Why do you get to tell me I am not enough? I don't get it. I don't get it. So that's why I was struggling with my family earlier. And I still am. That anger doesn't go away. It's being processed currently. And I'm working through it. I have a lot of thoughts that I don't necessarily want to have, but they're there. So what is this video? I'm painting, and I'm expressing emotion while doing it. And I'm getting somewhere, and I have no idea where I'm getting while I paint. All this is the attempt at putting down my feelings right now. That's all this is. The attempt at it. And if I'm attempting that, that's enough. If I'm attempting that, that's enough. Because this is going to help me process my world and what's going on here. And a lot of you are expecting this to be pretty. The goal here is not to paint something pretty. The goal here is to paint something real. And what's the difference between beautiful and real? Well, I think in our society, we call beauty only one thing. We look at beauty as only the rose that is blooming, or the sunset that is orange, or the flower that is colorful, or the mom that's holding the baby. We don't look at the other side of beauty, which is the rose wilting, which is the son holding his mother in death, which is the sun that we can't see, which is the flowers that are wilting. I'm saying all of this to say we look at beauty partially, and we need to look at beauty for what it is. Beauty is something that exists within this universe, this reality that we all exist in. Okay? Beauty exists here. It is your responsibility. It is your imperative here to look for it. But don't look for where you were told to look for it. Look for it everywhere, in every moment, because it exists. And reality is about holding multiple truths in one moment. Reality is about holding all of this together. Okay? It's called antimony. It's this idea that we exist within a landscape that is full of contradicting truths. We exist there. More people need to exist there instead of existing in their one truth, whether that be Christian nationalism, or whether that be atheism, or whether that be whatever it be. We need to not exist there. We need to exist in a state of multiple truths. Yeah, and I'm slowly, and I'm noticing I'm slowly getting away from the anger that I was feeling towards my family, and I'm slowly processing why they don't necessarily understand me, why they don't necessarily understand my actions. It's not because they're malicious and they're hateful. It's because they do not know. What's one of the most famous phrases in the Bible? What's one of the most famous chapters, verses, whatever you want to call it? I don't read the thing, but what's one of the most famous? I mean, I can say it. They do not know what they do. I don't know. One of you correct me out there. It's something along those lines. It's Jesus on the cross, and he's saying to God, forgive them. They don't know what they do. They do not know what they're doing right now. So, yeah, I'm not a Christian, but do I pull a lot of Christianity from my childhood? And do I use it? Yeah, I do. I use Christ, the symbol of Christ, a lot in my life. But do I believe it to be strict reality? No. No, I don't believe it to be strict reality. Because I don't believe in static, strict reality. I don't. I refuse that notion. Nobody gets to tell you what's going on. And guess what? This is the truth. Nobody does know what's going on. Nobody. We don't have a clue. In fact, we're all blind. Everybody is walking around blind. And there are some people that are telling you, you're blind, while they're blind as well. No, they are blind. We are blind. I am blind. Nobody knows what is going on. We are being told narratives, different narratives to believe in. Do we have a complete truth? No, we don't. We have, science to the end of its belief system. We have Christianity to the end of its belief system. We have Hinduism and Buddhism to the end of their belief systems. We have whatever you want to believe in to the end of it. But does it explain and account for everything? No. There's nothing that does that yet. And there's not going to be. Nobody's coming to save us. That's not real. So I'm making this video in part to process my anger, but also to protect myself. Because I know that there are people out there that are trying to hold on to their own realities, their own truths. I know that. So I have to protect myself, and I have to say, no, I know what happened. I'm not going to get gaslit or told differently. I'm not even going to believe differently. My reality is my reality. I'm the observer in my own life, and you don't get to tell me what is true and what is not true. And I will stand here in front of the public and say it. I will stand here and say, I'm not smart enough to actually understand a lot of these concepts that I claim to talk about. But why do I speak? Because I know I don't understand where language comes from. I don't understand where thought comes from. So in my head, this is valuable because I can't explain it.